The seventh inning was delayed several minutes when fans threw baseballs and other objects at Padres outfielders Jurickson Profar and Fernando Tatis. The next two games are in San Diego. The Rams are 1-4 after losing at home to Green Bay. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money Talk.
Here's what happens when you advertise on KBLA Talk 1580.
3, possibly 4 weeks ago, I heard an advertisement on your radio station from a company called Grid Solar. I would love to have that phone number so I can reach out to them with reference to solar panels being installed on my property.
Our listeners are aware and engaged, but more than that, they are loyal. When they hear empowering messages that uplift their community and help them live better lives, they respond. No medium reaches this coveted black audience like KBLA Talk 1580. So, hit us up today at smb@kbla1580.com and let us help you connect with our loyal listeners. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. Money to bud.
It was the 3rd of September. That day I'll always remember. Yes, I will. 'Cause that was the day that my daddy died. I never got a chance to see him. Never heard nothing but bad things about him. Mama, I'm depending on you to tell me the truth. Mama just hung her head and said, son, Papa was a rolling stone. Wherever he laid his hat was his home. And when he died, all he left us was alone.
I'm Tavis Smiley. Glad to have you with us in this hour. As promised, two conversations in this hour. On the B side of this hour, senior politics reporter for The Intercept, Akila Lacey, on the charges brought by St. Louis County Prosecutor Wesley Bell against Ferguson protesters 10 years after the killing of Michael Brown. Let me say that again. 10 years later, they bring charges against the protesters in Ferguson. It's sort of a parting gift from Wesley Bell before he goes on to Congress to take the seat of Cori Bush. We'll talk about that on the backside of this hour. But I'm so thrilled to commence this hour in conversation with comedian, actor, writer, and producer Damon Wayans, talking about his new show, Papa's House, which premieres on CBS Monday, October 21st. I have had the honor in my career on radio and TV to talk to all the Wayans, and that's a whole lot of conversations because there's a whole lot of Wayans. But I love Damon, and I'm glad to have Damon on. You'll talk to Damon. We'll talk to Damon in a moment after I give you the trailer for Papa's House.
Coming to CBS Monday.
Hey, Bob, just because you live next door to me don't mean you could just walk in unannounced.
I announced myself. I said, hey, Bob.
No, you announced me. I already know I live here.
Damon Wayans and Damon Wayans Jr. With this, son, a papa's work is never done.
Why do you always think I want something from you?
Because you always do.
Papa's House premieres Monday, October 21st, part of CBS Premiere Week and streaming on Paramount+.
Damon, how are you, man?
Wonderful. How you doing, Tavis?
Man, if I complained, I'd be an ingrate. I am doing remarkably well, and I'm always honored to be in conversation with you. When I saw this, I just started laughing. First of all, I'm looking at it's radio, so you can't see me. I'm looking at the cover of Emmy magazine. This amazing picture of you and your son. Let me turn this around to the camera because maybe the camera can see this. It's an amazing picture of you and your son. But I saw this piece, and of course got more in depth about what you're doing with this particular series. And you just keep doing this, man. It's like every so many years you come up with another one. And I've lost count how many series you've done now that are in syndication. But where did this one come from?
This one came from the germ of the idea was I was going to move in to a house next door to my son. I was feeling like empty nest syndrome.
Yeah.
And my son was in the gated community. I'm like, let me go over here and see what's happening so I can be closer to the family.
Yeah.
And so we all go look at the house. And while we're in there, his wife keeps going, oh, when you do this, Hayden, I'm sending you over to Papa's house. And she kept telling the kids that they were going to be at my house. And I'm like, oh, hell no, I'm not. I'm not doing I raise kids. I want visits. I don't want nobody living in my house. So I told my agent that story, and he's like, that's your next show. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah. So we just started developing it from there. And then I got 3 offers to do it on all the different networks.
Yeah.
And then I went to Junior and said, we should do this together, because the way I pitched it wasn't with him, but it was always hoping that he would do it.
Mm-hmm. And what did Junior say?
Well, he was actually supposed to do a show called Kill the Orange Bear, and then it got canceled the day before it was supposed to air. And so he's like, all right, that's God talking.
Yeah.
And so he just signed up, and it was beautiful. It's been wonderful.
You tell this story so beautifully and in such a straightforward and simple manner that it makes it seem like Hollywood is an easy thing. You're talking to your family one day, you have this conversation, you tell your agent about it, your agent says that ought to be your next show, and poof, you're on CBS. It don't really work that way, though, does it, David?
It absolutely. This has been 10 years in the making.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out a show to do with Junior. And for whatever reason, it never worked out, mainly because he was trying to build a name for himself, by himself, without the family. Although he loves, being a Wayans, he felt like it was important for him to step out there and do shows and movies outside of the family.
Yeah.
And so, everything happens when it's supposed to happen.
Yeah, yeah. As his father and as one of those Wayans, how did you process his decision to want to step outside of this Wayans bubble, as it were, to try to establish his own identity?
I respect that.
Mm-hmm.
This is Keenan tells us, he tells the next generation, he says, you were born on the road to success. Why you keep making detours? But some people are going to take the scenic route, and some people going to go the hard way. And so Junior had to go the hard way for himself, just to feel that confidence in himself that I could do this with or without my dad, with or without my family. And that's a beautiful thing. You got to respect that.
No, you got to respect it, man. Damon Wayans is at it again. And I suspect, as Damon always does, when he touches it, it becomes a hit. From In Living Color to, the list, all the shows he's done. But the new one is called Papa's House. Premieres on CBS Monday, October 21st. More with Damon Wayans when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Generous listening. Charitable listening. It's why everybody wants to talk to Tavis. The conversation continues when we come forward.
Vice President Kamala Harris.
I get it. The cost of rent, groceries, and utilities is too high. So here's what we're going to do about it. We will lower housing costs by building more homes and crack down on landlords who are charging too much. We will lower your food and grocery bills by going after price gougers who are keeping the cost of everyday goods too high.
Kamala Harris's economic plan is focused on lowering costs for families, so you can keep more of your paycheck. That starts with the cost of housing. For first-time homebuyers, she's offering $25,000 in down payment assistance. To build wealth, her plan offers up to $50,000 in new startup tax deductions. This is exactly how we can build generational wealth and strengthen our community, so we can get the chance to do more than just get by, but to get ahead.
You work hard for your paycheck. You should get to keep more of it. As president, I'll make that my top priority.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Harris for President.
I'm Jeff Davis. I believe my daughter should inherit something, but not the role and responsibility of burying me. That's why I have a pre-need burial insurance plan through Harrison Ross Mortuary. Their plan offers me 4 payment options. 1, pay in advance or pay over 3, 5, or 10-year time periods. to keep the payments affordable. Contact the professionals today at Harrison Ross Mortuary. We can be reached at area code 310-704-4901. That's 310-704-4901. And ask for me, Jeff Davis. Thank you.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Hey, what are you doing up on the step stool?
About to clean these light fixtures. The whole family's coming over, and if there's even a speck of dust in the house, my abuela will find it.
Here, I got a Swiffer duster to help with that.
A Swiffer what?
A Swiffer duster. It has this cool extendable handle that reaches 6 feet to get high and low, with fluffy dusters that easily trap and lock dust.
So, no more step stool?
No more step stool.
Easily trap and lock dust from hard-to-reach places with the Swiffer duster. Love it or your money back.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust new Febreze car vent clips, now with 3 times greater scent control, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with new Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing, which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up, Oscar!
Mom, meet Sarah.
From first-time Nana moments.
Yeah, welcome to Flight 101.
To annual girls trip moments. Your can't-miss moments are worth protecting against RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or diabetes, you're at higher risk of being hospitalized from RSV. And there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com.
So where should we go next?
Sponsored by Pfizer.
And the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
Trying to measure your intention. What do you want from me? How much will it be? No more than you're willing to give. Sure ain't nothing for this good love. Alright, and I won't make you promises. I'll just do all I can to be your lover, 'cause I understand. Your life are free. Yeah. Now that I discovered what you need to do.
It's Luther and Janet. Janet and Luther from the Mo Money soundtrack, starring Damon Wayans. Damon's done so much in his career, but the new one is called Papa's House. Premieres on CBS Monday, October 21. Damon, I don't need to tell you, you know better than I, that sitcoms, that's a lot of work, man. You want to work that hard at this point in your career?
Actually, sitcoms are the easiest gigs in show business when they're done right.
Yeah.
You know, what makes my job hard is I'm producing, writing, and starring.
Right.
But that's all a joy because I'm surrounded by my son, my sister Kim, my brother Sean, Sean's kids, my grandkids. It's like a lot of love in that building, so it's hard to go to work and be upset.
When you say they're the easiest thing in show business when they're done right, I think I take your point, but unpack that for me, Damon.
Okay, so a sitcom for an actor, you come in, you do the table read Monday, you rehearse for 2 hours, you go home. Tuesday, you come in, you rehearse all day from like 10 to 2, and you go home. Wednesday, same thing, you do a producer run through for the network in the studio. You go home. Thursday and Friday, you're shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's done right, like we get out Friday at 2:00 this week.
Mm-hmm.
Thursday was a longer day, but from 10 to 2, that's you can't be mad at those hours.
Yeah, no, there are harder ways to make money. there are harder ways to make money, and that kind of money, especially. When you mentioned a moment ago that it's hard to not be immersed in an environment with that much family and that much love around you, that is a special thing. Most of us will never have the experience to work in a creative space, no less, where you are surrounded with that kind of love day in and day out. Talk to me about that part.
Well, what's beautiful about it is, to see the lights turn on in my grandchildren's eyes and see, like, this is what I do. This is what the family does.
Mm-hmm.
And I have that gift, and I can contribute to this show with, jokes and characters and, and stories that have happened, their perspective. So it's there's no such thing as a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
Because a bad idea might generate a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to open your mouth, and then you have that courage to sit in a room with experienced writers and go, oh, what about this? And the experienced writers turn to them like, oh, my God, how did you know that at 10 years old?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm going to keep following you because you keep setting me up so nicely. When you mentioned writers, one of the things that, I know one side of your story, the other side I don't know as well. I know on one side of your story, you have been surrounded by great writers, given the shows that you've done, and by great writers of color. Here again, that is not the experience that most black people have in this industry. They go into a writer's room and they see people who look like them, who understand them, et cetera, et cetera. So talk to me about that path that you have been fortunate to be on, where for at least a good part of your career, you have been exposed to good writing and writing with and by people of color.
Well, I think it starts with me, who I've been writing for sport for the past 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
Just I get an idea in my head, I got to write it. I can't just let it sit. So I have a bunch of movies and books and TV shows that are just at various iterations.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to be able to tell a good story in order to hear a good story.
Mm-hmm.
So the writers I have, Kim and Sean, and my writing partner, the executive producer on the show, Dean Laurie, we wrote Major Pain together.
Mm-hmm.
So we have this like shorthand. We never sit around disagreeing about what something is. It's just, well, you have an idea, you're strong about it. Let's go. Let's pursue it. If it doesn't work, we'll pivot and do something else. But it usually works out because we don't believe in writer's block.
Yeah.
I believe in lazy writers.
Mm. Lazy writers, but not writer's block. I get it.
Yeah.
Let me circle back to your family again for two reasons. One, because I know you've been asked this question 1,000 times, but not by me. And for those who've never heard your response, they get a chance to hear it for the first time. To what would you attribute? And Marlon was here not too long ago and talked about his stand-up and, of course, the death of your precious mother, and we spent time talking about that. So condolences on that once again. But to what, Damon, would you attribute the outsized genius, the outsized creativity in this one family? To what do you attribute that?
the fact that we are one family.
Mm.
So we have one sense of humor with many sensibilities, which is like when we put the Wonder Power rings together, it's like it's something, out of this world, because you already have like Keenan's point of view, you got Sean's point of view, you got Marlon, and then we all come together and go, oh my God, we just came up with a nuclear bomb.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I have known you for a long time. It's been some decades now, and I was laughing earlier. And I got two things in front of me. I scribbled down the word grandchildren, because you've used that word by my count 3 or 4 times already in this conversation. And there are a lot of people who don't want to be called granddad. They don't want you to know they got grandchildren because it ages them. But you've uttered this word so easily in this conversation. Talk to me, and I'm looking at the cover of the Emmy magazine again, and I love the gray beard. You're aging nicely. You're handsome as ever. But I'm juxtaposing the fact that I'm juxtaposing the fact that we're all getting older. I just had a big birthday a few weeks ago. So it's better than the alternative, that's for sure. We're still here, we're still alive. But that grandchildren word comes out of your mouth so easily. Talk to me about aging. We've been watching you since In Living Color, and that was decades ago. Talk to me about aging, Damon.
Aging is beautiful. It's like, the only bad thing about living a long life is you're going to bury a lot of people you love.
Yes.
But
man,
it is just beautiful to for a long time I was trying to be happy, and I was trying to figure out, well, how do I get happy? And it's fleeting. And then I decided to just be content. And guess who moved in next door to me? It's happiness, because I don't want nothing. I'm just grateful for this journey I've been on, and my grandchildren are like reminders of I'm still here. And then I have a great-grandchild that is like another dimension of love. And so I am super proud of being a grandfather, and my greatest joy. I just hung out with 2 of them this weekend. They come spend the night, and they keep me young. I hear what the kids are doing today through them.
Yeah. You're preaching, as we said in the black church. Now you're preaching. Because you've gotten philosophical with me, and that's the sweet spot for me. I just love probing this sort of intellect and this experience that you're bringing to the fore now. When you said a moment ago, Damon, that you learn to be grateful, that you learn to be content, that's the ultimate, and yet that's a difficult journey. It's a difficult trajectory for a lot of people. Tell me more about how you found yourself in this space of just being grateful and being content.
Well, there's a lot of Bible reading.
Yeah.
A lot of meditating. A lot of prayer, and then a lot of like being alone with my thoughts. Right. So the hardest thing to do is to be by yourself when the world loves you. Because I don't have to be by myself. I can go outside. Somebody going to love me and want to hang out. But can I sit there and process difficult thoughts, uncomfortable emotions, and then, just like when that's maturity, when you can sit and go, okay, I don't want to think about that anymore. I can't control it. And you just close the folder, like on your desktop. You just close it. And you open up the fun folder and think about stuff, jokes or stories or, memories of family and friends. And, that's the beauty of maturity and spending time by yourself, is you have to, it's that, or you do drugs, or you're out there with, women, or pouring yourself out. You're doing things to self-destruct as opposed to mature and grow and let go.
Yeah. I mentioned earlier that Marlon was here, and we all saw his stand-up, so we got a chance to see firsthand how he processed his way through the grief of losing his mother, losing his father. How did Damon do that?
It's funny. My dad, Jehovah's Witness, his faith was so strong. I haven't cried over his death, and I don't need to cry because he was assured of his faith and his relationship with God, and he didn't want me to cry.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my mom, I cried a river because she ain't know where she was going.
See that's that Wayans trait. It just comes out. He can't help it. You find the funny where it is, right? You just find it, man.
Yeah, I got to. But I love them both the same. It's just it's like a different thing. Like when my dad wasn't afraid.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. He empowered me, and a lot of my siblings didn't cry either, because we felt peace at his funeral.
Yeah. No, I get it. That makes sense. I got 2 minutes left. Let me circle back to I can do this all day with you. Whenever Damon and I connect, which doesn't happen as often as it should, or as often as I would like for it to, but every time we connect, I'm always empowered, inspired by just connecting with him. And you can see he's not just a funny guy. He's extremely bright. He's a philosopher in many respects, and I just enjoy these dialogues. Let me come back to Papa's House. It premieres, as I said, on CBS on Monday, October 21st. For those who may have tuned in a bit late, give us a sense of what we're going to see when we check out this new sitcom, Dan.
Well, you're going to see a father who loves his son, who happens to be 35 years old and still needs a little bit of parenting. My character's this guy who's old school, like Frankie Crocker radio DJ morning, and they bring in a woman. And she's changing the culture, and she's challenging him on his old school views with feelings and stuff that he's just not used to dealing with. And his son, the father-in-law, bought a house next door to me so that I could finish raising him.
Imagine that. I got a radio show. Damon Wayans got a radio show, but I ain't on CBS. I ain't making that Damon Wayans money, and I ain't mad at him. Damon, congratulations, man. I don't mean this. I mean, I hope this comes out the right way. I am extremely proud of you. I love your work. I celebrate. I love seeing my friends win. And every time you hit another one of these sitcoms or another movie and it just kills, it just does something for me to see you win. So congratulations on winning again. And thank you for this 30 minutes, man. I deeply appreciate it.
Well, I deeply love you, and continued success to you, my brother, and keep your voice out there. It's needed.
Much love. Thank you, Damon. There's Damon Wayans. It's called Papa's House, premiering Monday, October 21st on CBS. More of Tavis, Smiley, when we come forward.
Why does Tavis say, when we come forward?
Because he's not going back.
And you don't have to go back either. Forward ever, backward never. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
I'm Ray Harris, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Hurricane Milton is growing fast over the warm water in the Gulf. In its path, Florida, a state of emergency in 35 counties has already been posted. Milton could be a Category 4 hurricane by the time it reaches Florida on Wednesday. A Frontier Airlines flight appeared to catch fire while making a landing in Las Vegas over the weekend. The plane landed at Harry Reid International Airport, and video shows flames and smoke billowing from the plane's undercarriage. An airport official said the flight experienced a hard landing, but thankfully no one was injured. The cause of the incident is currently under investigation. And that's the latest. I'm Ray Harris on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Hey Amazon Prime members, why pay more for groceries? Shop Prime exclusive deals at your local Amazon Fresh grocery store and get 50% off a 3-pound bag of grapes for $3.99. Get deals on thousands of grocery items and save up to 50% on weekly favorites. Find an Amazon Fresh store near you. Select varieties.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It was only a preseason game Sunday night, but it was a milestone moment for the NBA. LeBron and his son Bronny were on the court together during the Lakers game against Phoenix in Palm Springs. It was the first time in NBA history a father and son appeared together in a game. LeBron and Bronny started the second quarter. They were on the floor together for 4 minutes. Bronny missed his only shot attempt, a three-pointer. He finished the game with 4 turnovers. The Dodgers were pounded by San Diego in Game 2. The Padres hit 6 home runs in a 10-2 rout to tie the best-of-5 series at 1 apiece. Dodgers fans were not happy. The 7th inning was delayed several minutes when fans threw baseballs and other objects at Padres outfielders Jurickson Profar and Fernando Tatis. The next 2 games are in San Diego. The Rams are 1-4 after losing at home to Green Bay. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
If you say you care about the community, you have to also care about the climate. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black. KBLA Talk 1580 congratulates Tavis Smiley on receiving the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award from President Joseph R. Biden Jr. for a lifelong commitment to using his media and philanthropic platforms to help build a stronger nation. A host of Tavis's family, friends, colleagues, and luminaries, including LA Mayor Karen Bass, joined in the celebration. KBLA Talk 1580 wishes to thank the following partners for their support: the Weingart Foundation, Evitarist Public Opinion Research, Waters Tax Service, LA Councilmember Heather Hutt, the Empowerment Congress, Wallace and Renee Fortuné, the IQ Air Foundation, Dr. Kenneth Arduna, and Central Neighborhood Christian Health Clinics, LA County Supervisor Holly Mitchell, LA County Supervisor Janice Hahn, Ambassador Michael A. Lawson, Ambassador Charles R. Stiff, and Attorney John E. Sweeney. Congratulations, Tavis, on your Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Today marks 1 year since the war in Israel started, and it still rages on. Israel needs us now. Join the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews today in providing security and basic needs for the people of Israel. Go to supportifcj.org. That's supportifcj.org.
Sweet chocolate reward. Sweet chocolate reward.
This is not just the sound of someone picking up a sweet treat at Walgreens. This is the sound of someone picking up a sweet treat right after receiving all their vaccines in one trip. This is the sound of treating yourself, because you protected yourself.
Stop by or schedule both your flu and COVID-19 vaccines today and grab yourself a sweet treat while you're at it. Vaccine subject to availability. State, age, and health-related restrictions may apply.
Mommy, want to play a game with me and Dad?
Mommy's not feeling good.
You need to vaporize that cold.
Vaporize?
Yeah, with Dayquil VapoCool. It's Dayquil plus a rush of Vicks vapors.
Whoa.
Come on, honey. Let's let Mommy rest.
You guys are amazing. And so is Dayquil VapoCool.
Dayquil VapoCool, the vaporizing daytime coughing, aching, fever, power through your day medicine. And to vaporize sore throat pain, try Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down. Get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
We thank Damon Wayans for coming through to holler at us today to talk about the new series on CBS, Papa's House, again, premiering Monday, the 21st of October. We close today's program, this last half hour, in a conversation I've been looking forward to with KBLA Lacey, who is a senior politics reporter for The Intercept. She has a piece called Wesley Bell's Swan Song. Wesley Bell's Swan Song, Felonies for Ferguson Protesters. One of Bell's last actions before taking Representative Cori Bush's seat in Congress was to charge protesters arrested on the 10th anniversary of the police killing of Michael Brown Jr. With that headline in that intro, take it away, Akila. Tell me about the story. Akila, is your mute button pushed? Because I can't hear you. One more time, Akila. Akila, oh, Akila. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? We get Miles on that so he can talk to Akila. Her name, again, is KBLA Lacey. She is the senior politics reporter for The Intercept. You know that Cori Bush is one of those members of the squad who went down in her re-election to Congress. There was Jamal Bowman in New York City. There was Cori Bush in St. Louis. And so this is the guy, Wesley Bell, who beat Cori Bush for that seat in Congress. And as I mentioned a moment ago, this is sort of a parting gift, putting that in air quotes, sort of a parting gift from Wesley Bell before he takes the seat of Cori Bush in Congress. And I think KBLA Lacey can hear me now. Akila, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
I hear you well. It's good to hear your voice. I gave the introduction already. I read the title to the piece. I read the subtitle to the piece.
You.
All right, you heard me. Now I can hear you. Tell me about the piece. Take it away.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So this story is looking at arrests and charges that were meted out in August after protesters demonstrated at the Ferguson Police Department on the 10-year anniversary of Michael Brown Jr.'s killing. These protests happened just days after Wesley Bell defeated Cori Bush in the Democratic primary for St. Louis's seat in Congress. This is after, taking millions of dollars in support from a right-wing super PAC that was targeting Cori Bush, as you mentioned, Jabal Mobin, and other progressive members of Congress this cycle. So zooming, into what Wesley Bell is doing on the ground in the months before he is expected to enter Congress in January, he is, dealing out felonies to at least 8 protesters who were arrested during these demonstrations to memorialize the police killing of Mike Brown Jr. And the background to this is that, Wesley Bell and Cori Bush, came up in, not the same circles, but in similar circles. Cori Bush came on the scene as a nurse and a protest leader during Ferguson, back in 2014. Wesley Bell had been in local office for years, in and around St. Louis, and ran as a reform prosecutor candidate in 2018, really positioning himself as someone who would bring the desires of Ferguson and the BLM movement to office and represent a change from the 3-decade incumbent, the former prosecutor Bob McCullough, who did not indict Darren Wilson, the police officer who shot and killed Mike Brown Jr. Mm-hmm. Fast forward 6 years later, Bell also did not indict Darren Wilson after reviewing the case, and now he's riding on millions of dollars from this super PAC to oust a Ferguson protest leader and charging Ferguson protesters or Ferguson protesters who are protesting in memory of Ferguson, on his way out the door.
Yeah. No, I get it. The frame is clear now. So there are questions I have about Wesley Bell. So one, what are these protesters charged with? Before I even get to why charge them in the first place, but what are they charged with?
So all 8 of the protesters received a variety of charges, but each of them received at least one felony charge. There are other charges for assault, resisting or interfering with arrest, other sorts of misdemeanors. But basically what happened was there were protests happening outside the police department. They do this every year on the anniversary. This was obviously the 10-year anniversary. And by all accounts, even by, accounts from the police, protests were very peaceful and I don't like to make the dichotomy nonviolent versus peaceful, but they were not disruptive. And at some point during, the demonstration, police started sort of descending on protesters. Protesters started pulling at the gate outside of the police department, and that's when sort of everything hit the fan, and they started actually cracking down and arresting people, according to several people who were at the scene, in sort of a violent fashion, and at some point during that, the biggest case, the young man who was being held on $500,000 bail and was charged with 13 different counts, was being chased by police officers, and he was running away from them and ran into a police officer who fell backwards, hit his head, and suffered a severe brain injury and has been, in the hospital. And so that particular incident, became sort of the headline: police officer injured during these protests, and now this young man has become sort of the face of the people who are arrested here. He's facing, again, 13 felony counts. 13 counts, including felonies, and he's being held on $500,000 bail.
So if you're the prosecutor in a situation like this, the other side of the coin, did Wesley Bell have any option? Put another way, could he simply have not prosecuted these protesters?
Yes. So what happens is the police, bring charges to the prosecutor's office, and the prosecutor has discretion on whether or not to prosecute those charges. So particularly in cases like these protest cases, we've seen this. We're on the anniversary of October 7th. We've seen massive protests all across the country over the last year, and so you see people being charged in mass, whether it's a campus protest or a street protest. Often a lot of the charges end up being dropped or don't stick because there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of chaos, and sometimes the charges are escalated to beyond what the evidence ends up showing. And so in this case, some of the indictments, I'll quote from one of them. It's like they knowingly damaged police property by pulling on the gate in a strong jerking manner, which caused the gate to disassemble, resulting in damage above $750. And so somebody is facing a felony charge for, that sort of charge. The prosecutor in that case can say, I don't know that this is the appropriate charge. Yeah. I don't want this person to have a felony charge on their record for the rest of their life. I'm going to give them a lesser sentence, or we're going to find another way to adjudicate this in court. Yeah. That is not how the prosecutor has decided to proceed with these charges.
No, I hear you. When we come forward, no naivete here, but I do want to ask, what Wesley Bell gains by doing this on his way out the door? You have made it abundantly clear, as I already knew, but I wanted to ask anyway, that he didn't have to do this. So you've taken all this outside money, a lot of right-wing money. You've taken this money to upend Cori Bush, one of the more progressive members in Congress, a member of the squad, of course. So you succeeded in beating Cori Bush, but on your way out the door, you do this. The question when we come forward for Akilah Lacey is, what's in it for Wesley Bell? What does Wesley Bell get by doing this, charging these protesters on the 10th anniversary of the police killing of Michael Brown Jr.? They do it every year. What does Wesley Bell get out of prosecuting them on his way out the door? You're listening to Akilah Lacey on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on!
Vice President Kamala Harris.
I get it. The cost of rent, groceries, and utilities is too high. So here's what we're going to do about it. We will lower housing costs by building more homes and crack down on landlords who are charging too much. We will lower your food and grocery bills by going after price gougers who are keeping the cost of everyday goods too high.
Kamala Harris's economic plan is focused on lowering costs for families, so you can keep more of your paycheck. That starts with the cost of housing. For first-time homebuyers, she's offering $25,000 in down payment assistance. To build wealth, her plan offers up to $50,000 in new startup tax deductions. This is exactly how we can build generational wealth and strengthen our community, so we can get the chance to do more than just get by, but to get ahead.
You work hard for your paycheck. You should get to keep more of it. As president, I'll make that my top priority.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Harris for President.
Tavis Smiley's new book, The Covenant with Black America, 20 years later, is now on sale everywhere. This classic text shot to #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list almost 2 decades ago. If you have the original book, you will surely want to get this 20th anniversary edition with powerful new contributions from today's leading voices. This 20th anniversary edition presents a compelling blend of historical insights and contemporary urgency in this critical and unprecedented election year. Get your copy of The Covenant with Black America 20 years later today.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Don't miss St. Heron's El Dorado Ballroom at Walt Disney Concert Hall, October 10th, 12th, and 13th. This celebration of transcendent Black performance is curated by Solange Knowles and named in tribute to Houston's historic El Dorado Ballroom. This program features a night of classical and symphonic works by Black women composers, including Patrice Rushen and Solange Knowles, as well as nights dedicated to avant-garde expressions in jazz and soul, as well as gospel. Get your tickets today at laphil.com.
Less monologue,
more dialogue.
Tavis Smiley continues right now.
It does indeed with Akilah Lacey, who is the senior politics reporter for The Intercept. Her piece is called Wesley Bell's Swan Song, Felonies for Ferguson Protesters. So the question I posed a moment ago, Akilah, that I'm anxious to hear your take on is, what does Wesley Bell get out of this? He's beaten Cori Bush with all that outside money. He's on his way to Washington as a member of Congress. Why do this? Why prosecute these protesters who were there for the anniversary of the police killing of Michael Brown Jr. a decade ago? Why do this? What's Wesley get out of this?
So Wesley Bell, has a new constituency that he needs to pay attention to, which are the wealthy right-wing donors who give to the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, which spent, more than $11 million to help him oust Cori Bush. This is, the pro-Israel lobbying group, but it's also targeting members of Congress who support policies that are at odds with the preferences of their donors, which are not, they're not confined to foreign policy. We're talking about economic policy, how you address protests, how you decide whether or not to prosecute protesters, and particularly, we're talking about many of people who are Republicans and support Donald Trump and are diametrically opposed to the spirit of BLM protest movement and sort of all the things that Ferguson protesters, hold to be true. So there's layers to this. It's partially being aware of the people who helped him get to where he is now and the people who he's going to need to continue to raise money from, if he wants to stay in Congress. And it's also, acknowledging the fact that now that he's going to federal office, he doesn't need to worry about the people in St. Louis who he promised, all these reforms and changes to, because, now he's working on the federal stage where the national conversation around his race is really, a lot of it is about Israel. A lot of it is about, bashing Cori Bush for being, quote unquote, pro-defund or, whatever you want to call it. So there's all of these sort of proxy wars swirling around, everything that's going on with Wesley Bell right now. But I think a lot of it comes down to the people who are going to decide whether or not he stays in Congress, don't like what these protesters are doing.
I'm quoting from your piece right quick, watching my time's getting away from me. A spokesperson for the St. Louis County Prosecuting Attorney's Office said the majority of people at the protest were not charged with a crime, and that those who were charged were not targeted because they were protesting. In these cases, we didn't charge protesters. Protesting is not a crime, close quote. That seems to be at odds with this conversation.
That was an interesting way to explain the charging decisions there.
No, I get it. When we come forward, I want to close our conversation with Akilah by pivoting from this story about what's happening in St. Louis to Kamala Harris. She's also done some reporting for The Intercept about the uncommitted movement. And given that we are, as she mentioned earlier, and as I mentioned even before that, on the one-year anniversary of Hamas attacking Israel, October 7th, 2023, believe it or not, it's been a year already. I want to get her take on the uncommitted movement and Kamala Harris and what that looks like between now and Election Day. You're listening to Akilah Lacey on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Standing up for everyday Americans is at the very foundation of who Kamala Harris is. Raised in a middle-class home by a working mother who instilled in her a passion for justice and equality. That's why when Kamala Harris became district attorney, she stood up for our kids, keeping them safe by prosecuting sex offenders. She also pioneered a program to give nonviolent drug offenders a second chance. As president, Kamala Harris will continue the fight for everyday Americans. She's already lowered the cost of your health insurance and medications. Insulin is now capped at $35 for seniors. But there's more to do because mortgages, rents, groceries, and utility bills are still too high. Harris's plan to fix it? Build more homes to lower prices and make the wealthy and billionaires pay their fair share so we get a break. All her life, Kamala Harris has been standing up for us, and she doesn't plan to stop anytime soon.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Harris for president.
Eggs are a staple in our diets, and there's only one egg with more delicious farm-fresh taste plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best. With more vitamins, including 6 times more vitamin D and 10 times more vitamin E, plus 25% less saturated fat than ordinary eggs. Available in so many delicious varieties. Classic, cage-free, and organic. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
My mom has taken up going to the park to practice yoga.
My dad's going to a club, but not a book club, a salsa club.
Finding new hobbies comes with age.
My mom has started getting lost and not knowing where she's going.
Becoming lost or disoriented doesn't. Confusion with time or place may be a sign of Alzheimer's. An early diagnosis can help improve the quality of life for your loved one. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
More honesty than you can handle.
More empowerment than you can imagine.
You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
Today is the one-year anniversary of Hamas and the drama with the attack in Israel. That date is often referenced as the start in this conflict. We know this that date that's not accurate. It's the start of this recent conflict, but this has gone on for generations, as we well know. Nonetheless, though, it was 1 year ago today when this horrific attack by Hamas on Israel started again all that we are witnessing 1 year later. Into that steps Kamala Harris when Joe Biden passes the baton to her to become the nominee of the Democratic Party. And this uncommitted movement has had its say, I might add a powerful say, in Michigan and beyond. The question is, what happens to this uncommitted movement, and how does this uncommitted vote impact her chances of winning on November 5th? To that, Akilah Lacey, you say what, given that you've written about this for The Intercept?
Yeah, so I followed Uncommitted, at the DNC convention in Chicago in August, while they were pushing to have a Palestinian speaker on the main stage, request that was denied by the Harris campaign and the DNC, and subsequently they were pushing, to have a meeting between Kamala Harris and people in Michigan who have lost family during the destruction on Gaza. So the update since then is that I think they gave her a deadline of mid-September, which passed without any assurances from the Harris campaign that they would meet with Uncommitted or that they could do anything to address their demands for a permanent ceasefire and an immediate stop to the U.S. sending weapons to Israel. So they're at a standstill. Three founders of the Uncommitted movement spoke during a press conference. I asked them, when the deadline passed, if they personally were planning to vote for Kamala Harris. Two of them are not. One of them said that he would vote for her and saw his vote, as a chess move in the broader fight to try to keep Donald Trump out of power, and acknowledging what a Trump presidency would mean, for continuing to arm Israel and continuing to fund destruction in Gaza. But Uncommitted's position basically right now is they're telling voters that they cannot endorse Kamala Harris, but they are not endorsing a third-party candidate. They are not endorsing a vote for Trump, and they're urging voters to vote all the way down the ticket for Democrats and to make their own choice about whether or not to support Kamala Harris. The administration has been pretty clear that while they're pushing Kamala Harris as more open to conditioning military aid to Israel on her language towards Palestinians being quote unquote more dehumanizing, they have not indicated that they're open to any real substantive policy changes in the near term on U.S. policy towards Israel and towards Gaza. So that's where things stand with Uncommitted right now. Yeah. The question of how much, if at all, that will affect Harris's chances is still up in the air. I think the bigger question, I don't know that they garnered hundreds of thousands of votes during the primaries. I don't know that that's enough really to cut into Harris's lead, but we are talking about key swing states, Michigan, places where the Democratic Party has severely lost ground to Republicans and to independent voters. And so I think the bigger question is whether or not this tips the scales one way or another for Harris in November. It will contribute to the Democratic Party's issues with trying to stop sort of the bleeding, whether that's from conservative voters who are heading to Trump or from disenchanted progressive voters who are, tired of the party. Point taken. We'll leave it there for now. We are out of time for today. But Akilah, thank you for coming on. Again, good to have your insights. I appreciate you. Thanks, Tavis. My great honor. Just like that, 3 hours gone. Back here tomorrow, Lord willing, to do it all over again. Until tomorrow, thanks for tuning in to Tavis Smiley. As always, keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Ray Harris, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Hurricane Milton is growing fast over the warm water in the Gulf. In its path, Florida, a state of emergency in 35 counties has already been posted. Milton could be a Category 4 hurricane by the time it reaches Florida on Wednesday. A Frontier Airlines flight appeared to catch fire while making a landing in Las Vegas over the weekend. The plane landed at Harry Reid International Airport, and video shows flames and smoke billowing from the plane's undercarriage. An airport official said the flight experienced a hard landing, but thankfully no one was injured. The cause of the incident is currently under investigation. And that's the latest. I'm Ray Harris on your home for 24/7 news. The Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Hey Amazon Prime members, why pay more for groceries? Shop Prime exclusive deals at your local Amazon Fresh grocery store and get 50% off a 3-pound bag of grapes for $3.99. Get deals on thousands of grocery items and save up to 50% on weekly favorites. Find an Amazon Fresh store near you. Select varieties.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Magic Johnson's NFL team, the Washington Commanders, are 4-1 for the first time since 2008. The Commanders continue to be the talk of the NFL with a 4-game winning streak and the outstanding play of rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels. Daniels has completed 77% of his passes and ranks 4th in the NFL with a 106.1 quarterback rating. Magic became a part owner of the Commanders last summer. The Rams' 1-4 start is their worst start under coach Sean McVay. McVay is in his 8th season with the Rams. The 6 home runs the San Diego Padres hit Sunday night were the most homers given up by the Dodgers in a postseason game in the Dodgers franchise history. USC's loss at Minnesota Saturday night knocked them out of the AP 25 college football rankings. USC was 11th before Saturday's game. The Trojans are 1-2 in their first year in the Big Ten Conference. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
I need your dollar, that's what I need.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates small businesses, the enduring lifeblood of our community, with the launch of the KBLA SMB Marketplace. For the first time, small to medium-sized businesses will have an opportunity to promote their goods and services on KBLA and take advantage of our powerful reach and local marketing power. The SMB Marketplace is hosted exclusively on KBLA1580.com and is accessible from all our social media channels. Whether you're a small mom and pop restaurant, a car dealership, or a professional practitioner, we invite you to join in this new KBLA Talk 1580 initiative to promote your business. As a black-owned small business, you don't want to miss this unique opportunity to gain new customers on KBLA Talk 1580. For more information, contact us today at smb@kbla1580.com. That's smb@kbla1580.com. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
And if I share with you my story, would you share your dollar with me? Time to get it. Hey!
Welcome forward now. You're listening to the Millionaires Roundtable. I am your host, Lynn Richardson, here on KBLA Talk 1580, and we are creating millionaires, one family at a time, one day at a time, $1 at a time, and $1 dime at a time, and that means you. Okay, the harvest is here and the time is now. Every day is a new day, a new opportunity to do something different. Today, I am talking about living your dream. I think a part of the Millionaires Roundtable is helping people to achieve the dreams that they see for themselves. I was lucky enough, I was privileged enough, I was blessed enough to be able to shoot a TV show in the recent days. And let me tell you, there are families out there who are trying to do it. There are people out there who are trying to make it. There are people out there who see something for themselves, but they just don't know how to get there. But today, we are going to talk to a sister from the south side of Chicago. She is a certified public accountant. She is a mother, a single mother of a beautiful black son who has grown into be a wonderful black man. And she is living her dream. She decided, hey, I want to pick up. I want to keep my job, but not really keep my job. But she kept the business and relocated to California and is really living it out. But more important than that, she's teaching other people how to have the proper mindset in order to get the wealth that they see for themselves. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Takesha Artis to the round table. Takesha, welcome back.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be back.
Let me tell you, the first time you were here, we didn't know each other, but I knew something was different about you. I did. I said, there's something special about her. There's something, you know, I interview lots of people on radio. I've been doing radio and public speaking for, oh my goodness, well over 20 years now. And you interview folks and you get the information and it's great and you clap your hands. But when I spoke to you, I knew something. It struck me in my heart. but you keep going, you keep living. And then, of course, your son and my daughter went to elementary school together, and now they are somewhat of a like a hand in the glove. They are a couple. And, my husband and I certainly could not be more happy and proud that they found each other. But the real story is that you raised a black man in this century in America, and he has his right mind, but he is also loving and kind, and he is strong, and he's protective in nature. And I think that is something to be studied, but more importantly, I think it's something to be applauded. So talk to us, Takesha, about your dream. What was it? How did you get started? How did it even start out? What happened in the beginning? And how did you get to relocate to the city of your dreams and literally live it out in this lifetime? How'd you do that?
Well, first, there's God at the center of all of it. I want to make sure people understand, like, you can ask for whatever it is that you want, but if you don't have faith in knowing and expecting that you can get it, it will never happen. So I set the intention to move here. I put it on Facebook as a reminder that I'm going to be living in California, and here we are. And I think sometimes women in particular, we want the thing, but we don't think that we can have it, and so we push it back down. We can't figure out how to make it happen, and so it's almost impossible in our head. So we let the dreams die. And I was dedicated to making sure that now that he was going away to college, that I could live for me.
Wow. So when you say, because you're right, if expectation breeds harvest, there really is nothing else except expectation. It is what you expect that happens. You can say, hey, I'm going to be financially free, but if you don't expect it to happen, it won't.
It won't.
You can say, I want to be debt free. You can say, I want to start a business. But if you really don't expect it in your heart to happen, it probably won't. How did you go from stating what you wanted, and then how did you choose Los Angeles? Like, why? You're not in the entertainment business. You don't act, strip, I'm just telling y'all the truth. This is daytime television. The people come here doing all kind of stuff. You're not in it for that. Why California?
We came here 4 years ago on a family vacation. And for this vacation, I don't know what it was, but something in my spirit just said, go and vacation in luxury. So this was our first vacation where I spared no expense. And we did beach tours. We saw, dolphins off of Catalina Island. And I remember the first beach we went to was Orange County. And I had saw it on TV, and I was just like, if God can make this vast ocean, surely he can do the things that I would like.
Wow.
It was just so powerful. And I was telling my son, like, I have to be here. I don't know why, but I have to be here. And, he's in high school and basketball. So he's like, I'm leaving my friends. I don't want to do that. And so I kind of tabled it, and it's always been in the back of my mind. I'm going to move to California. And when he said he wasn't going to an Illinois school, I said, yes, time for both of us to pack up.
He just didn't know he was emancipating you.
Yes, set me free.
he was ready to get out because he wanted to expand his horizons.
Yes.
And move outside of the nest and explore some things, and so did you.
Yes.
And so how did you go from, like, what was the thing that made you actually expect what it is that you believe? Because, I mean, there are times, I have to be honest, when we just shot a TV show that was amazing. But I did not know if it would be powerful until I started talking. So I understand the doubt. How did you go from believing and expecting to instead of just believing?
The move here wasn't all me. I can't explain it. It just, everything fell into place. There was no room for doubt. There was,
It just happened.
It
And you
just
know what?
happened.
It was what we call modern day miracles. And we're going to talk about that because I don't think people really understand the power of intention. And so we're going to continue this conversation. The harvest is here and the time is now. Takesha Artist is here with us to talk about how you live in your dream. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
More of the Millionaires Roundtable
With Lynn Richardson when we come forward.
on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Race, culture wars, political turf battles, criminal justice, and injustice. The courts. These are the conversations you won't hear elsewhere. My guests are leading journalists, celebrities, and sports figures, elected leaders, and influencers. They aren't afraid to get into it and say the quiet part out loud. With Ariva Martin in real time, your commute just became the most engaging part of your day. Tune in weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. or find us on YouTube. Ariva Martin in real time, when you want it straight, no chaser.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. Tavis Smiley's new book, The Covenant with Black America, 20 years later, is now on sale everywhere. This classic text shot to #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list almost 2 decades ago. If you have the original book, you will surely want to get this 20th anniversary edition with powerful new contributions from today's leading voices. This 20th anniversary edition presents a compelling blend of historical insights and contemporary urgency in this critical and unprecedented election year. Get your copy of The Covenant with Black America 20 years later today.
We're thrilled to announce that the Dear Future Wifey podcast is now available on the Urban One Podcast Network. This show, hosted by Latiris R. Whitfield, explores the journey of discovering and rediscovering love and relationships. With over 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, Dear Future Wifey has become a prototype for discussions about love and relationships. Learn how to rediscover love, heal, and have faith in relationships. Go to urbanonepodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
To help combat climate change, LADWP is helping neighborhoods have better access to electric vehicles by awarding nearly $130 million in EV rebates to customers just like you. From big savings on used EVs to building new charging plazas, LADWP is charging ahead to help all Angelenos experience the benefits of EVs. Get rebates of up to $4,000 for a used EV and $1,750 for a charger. Learn more at ladwp.com/EV. That's ladwp.com/EV.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
When you're rolling Charmin, ultra soft on the party. Less is more, so roll it back, everybody. Roll it back. Charmin's irresistibly soft and hella nice. The grip is always soft. It's our party vibe.
Charmin Ultra Soft is irresistibly soft and more absorbent, so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for progressive talk radio. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome forward now. This is the Millionaires